lesson in a special edition of No Holds Barred. Now, the UFC now has to deal with the fallout of Conor McGregor's rampage in Brooklyn last Thursday. It's obviously a black eye to the sport, but it does seem to have set the table for a big Conor vs. Khabib pay-per-view. So, is the UFC better or worse off since Conor went crazy? Jason, you first.
I'm going to surprise myself and say better, because at the time that it happened, I thought it would be worse. But I do think he has created an enormous amount of interest in him fighting Khabib, and so that's good for the UFC. I think we've all been waiting for the next big mega thing to happen just in combat sports really since Conor and Floyd. And now I think with this Khabib thing, this could be like Rocky and Ivan Drago. So yeah, I think it worked.
Well, what did they say? No such thing as bad press,
right.
okay? And this made all the TV shows, newspapers, you name it, it was on everything. So I don't think it's just a case of him versus Khabib that's big. MMA, the UFC is a little bigger. Conor McGregor, of course, he's going to pay the price in the short term, but in the long term, his stock goes up.
I don't like to agree with Mike, but I do a little, right? Because this is going to cost him.
I'm right.
This is going to cost him some money. But ultimately, he's going to make a lot more because of, like Jason said, Khabib's a viable option now. He's not just another guy he's fighting in the UFC. It's a big-time fight, if not only for people wanting to see Conor McGregor. In the short term, he's going to pay Chiesa. He's going to pay Borg. But he's going to make more money whenever he does fight Khabib.
Well, short term, it hurts the UFC, but they're smart enough to know to use this as a positive. Look at the Embedded. The last Embedded, it was all of this entire incident.
I mean,
Conor smashing the bus, smashing the windows, the blood on the forehead. Yes, it's bad, but that it ultimately transitions into more money.
But even beyond our sports world and sports take, Conor going off made news outside of the sports world.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people, even though Conor's big and had the fight with Floyd, there's still a lot of people that don't know who Conor is that know him a little bit better now.
Yeah, and, you know, case in point, when John and I fought the first time, we got in the press conference fight, right? And we went in front of the commission, we got fined, we got beat up. When we fight, though, that footage somehow miraculously runs over and over again. So they'll use it.
For sure. And all that being said, though, Jason, I'll start with you on this one as well. Does the UFC have to punish Conor in some way, though? Obviously, he's got a legal battle to fight, but does the UFC have to punish him?
Yeah, I think Dana backed himself into a corner day one when he called it disgusting, when he said it's the worst thing he's ever seen in the UFC. I think Dana's put himself in a position he has to fine, he has to punish, he has to suspend Conor McGregor. I'm not sure that's what he wants to do, because after taking a timeout a few days later, it's, he's not mad at Conor anymore, but I think he's backed himself into a corner.
All right, well, obviously on that one, time will tell. We got to move on to the next topic, though. Of course, rumors swirling around a potential Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather rematch in the UFC. Now, one report says the fighters are targeting a mixed rules match with 4-ounce gloves, no shoes, 5 5-minute rounds in the 155-pound division. No kicks, no takedowns, no elbows, no knees. Certain things will be allowed, like the clinch. Now, Dana's already shot the idea down, but Michael, here we go. What do you think of this, if this actually were to happen?
It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous. It's like, okay, so Conor's only allowed to punch 75% of his power, and Floyd can only do 3 steps of footwork at a time, and he's only allowed limited head movement. It's ridiculous. You're either fighting in boxing or it's mixed martial arts, one or the other. If you're going to create these hybrid rules, it goes against the entire reason of the fight in the first place.
I don't understand why Floyd Mayweather is even entertaining this. I don't understand why.
It's simple.
But no, I don't understand at this point. 50-0, $1 billion. I don't get why he's entertaining fighting in the octagon.
Yeah.
It's the money team.
It doesn't matter, Jason.
It's the integrity team.
Jason.
It's the money team. The man tells you who he is. He's all about the bottom line. But y'all keep calling this a hybrid. Yeah. The only thing I see different
is a boxing match.
It's
a boxing match.
Right. And smaller gloves.
But I'll say this. It's a negotiation. And again, the fact that they're negotiating, so I think you're going to see elbows or something is going to have to be allowed to make it somewhat fair for Conor McGregor. I think right now they're starting in a position where we're just going to box in an octagon.
For Floyd Mayweather, this is a way to preserve his 50-0 record, which is incredible. That's history-making. That's safe. Move to a different type of combat sport. Different type, not MMA. Different type of combat sport. Yeah. Make a truckload of money, but that 50-0, that's protected.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, DC. But, guys, I want a one-word answer from you. Boxing, MMA, or a hybrid fight? Which one are you most interested in, Jason?
A hybrid. No question.
Has to be hybrid.
What?
It can't be boxing in the octagon.
It has to be MMA. It has to be MMA. What are you talking about?
It'll never
Sorry,
happen.
I can't do one-word answers.
No, you certainly can't. We've learned that about you, Michael. All right, let's move on, though. From one UFC star to another, Ronda Rousey is all in with the WWE, appearing in WrestleMania this past weekend. DC, I know you love this one.
Yeah, man, she really blew the roof off that place. They did everything to highlight her athleticism. They highlighted her background in martial arts, not only in fighting, but in the judo Olympics and everything. Paired her up with Kurt Angle, who's an Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and then allowed her to finish in a way that it looked as though she broke Stephanie McMahon's arms.
Yes.
She blew the roof off that place.
So, of course, the question is she going to be a bigger star in wrestling than she was as a UFC fighter? Yes or no? Well, we'll start with you, Jason. No?
She will. Look, she was the biggest fish in the UFC pond for a short time. She's never going to be that in the WWE. I think her success will always be dwarfed by a handful of the male fighters, and I think even some of the women wrestlers will dwarf her. She'll be a nice story, but never the biggest fish.
You think the shine's going to wear off in a few months?
Yeah, listen, I think, and I don't want to sound sexist, but I want to keep it real, part of Ronda's appeal was her sex appeal. Mm-hmm. She's not as sexy in that arena in the WWE. Mm-hmm. The competition over there is a lot stiffer in that regard.
But a lot of people that were watching her the other night, they were watching because they're UFC fans. They cross over to the wrestling world. Her star isn't going to diminish simply because she's doing a different sport. She's still going to be as big of a star, but she's going to have more people watching her. So she's going to become a bigger star.
That's what I feel. Yeah. I feel this wrestling, man. You know, whereas the UFC, we do have viewers, but every Monday, 3 million people watch this WWE Monday Night Raw. She competed in front of 85,000. She didn't do that in the Olympics. She didn't do that in the UFC. It's a bigger platform. I think she's going to blow up even more.
And she's laid the groundwork with that fan base over the years already prior to getting there. Her best friend Shayna's in there as well.
She signed a contract, and I was in the arena, and that place went insane for her.
Awesome.
And you've got to remember, they're going to give her good storylines.
They certainly are.
Because he's not real.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure having you.
Please have me back.
Here. All right, all right.
And then you said, you know, he exposed some things in Khabib. You weren't shit on Khabib, but you said he showed a kind of a roadmap to get to Khabib, to beat Khabib. And Rogan tweeted the same thing a day after you said it to me privately, that he showed some weakness in Khabib. Like, this is a way.
I like the way you say that. I didn't tell you after Rogan.
No, you said it first.
All right, no, to you.
That's what I'm saying. You said it to me privately first. Yeah. You said it right after the fight. You said he showed some. You said he exposed, but you weren't shitting on him. No, you said he would show you how you beat a guy like Khabib.
Right.
And you were right.
And Rogan issued kind of an apology. I mean, just kind of explained things.
I didn't hear him calling the fight because I was watching.
So on the pay-per-view,
you know how it is, Chuck, we watched it.
He was saying how, he didn't like that Khabib kind of had his head straight up as he was going back, and that, it didn't look to him at the time like championship level striking from a guy that, is the champion now and looked to be in that.
He shouldn't have to. I don't think he did a big. I read some of that so-called. It wasn't really an apology.
Yeah, he just said if he bothered anybody.
Yeah, but you know what? I guess he has to. He doesn't have to do that.
Right.
No. Why the fuck? Why? Because people are gonna get upset. Because I seen him. I watched the fight.
Right.
Obviously live, but then I watched it back on TV, and I heard his commentary. And dude, no, he was the first 2 rounds. But in that 3rd round, he was like, it was when it was getting interesting. He was saying, this is getting interesting. Right. He goes, who would have thought that he was giving Al the props of even hanging in there? But look, man, I mean, as far as it was a dominant performance, but with this switch and you're regarded as one of the best ever, possibly. I mean, the guy's undefeated and he's just ragdolling everybody they put in front of him. You expect to see the same with a guy they just took the fight in 24 hours notice when he's supposed to be fighting another guy and this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys need to be prepared for Khabib. Al was prepared to fight, but he's prepared to fight versus a fucking slugger.
A striker, yeah, he was prepared to do a 3-round stint. I mean, I'm sure that the prep is different for that than it is for a 5-round wrestling match.
I don't want to bring up Pettis. I don't want to attack Pettis, but I don't know why they didn't take that fight. But Pettis was getting ready for Michael Chiesa, who is a very strong grappler. He can strike. You know, he can strike like Khabib can strike.
Yeah, but you expect a grappling.
But you expect him to. I mean, I picked Chiesa to strangle him.
What has Pettis done in his last couple of fights?
That was the thing. Like, going into it,
no, he is, right?
No, he has a win.
1 win out of 3, is it?
Yeah, I think so, and that's why I was surprised because Felder's obviously been on a great run, and Al is, at 5 in a row.
The rumor I heard was that it was a money issue. I didn't ask Dana that, so I don't know. He probably wouldn't have told me anyway. I heard just whispers that it was a money issue. And I think if you price yourself out of the market, it's almost like if I don't want to do a gig, if I go like, fuck, I'm not going to do well there. All right, give me 800,000 and I'll do it. They're like, oh, fuck yourself. Right. You have the thing of, hey, they didn't give it to me.
Pettis was since back at lightweight. He beat Jim Miller in his return to lightweight, and then he lost to Poirier. He had that rib injury in his last.
Oh, right.
But he was getting beaten in that fight.
What was the statement with Duke and Pettis and them? Did they say anything?
I didn't really see anything, honestly. They didn't say too much.
And him and Felder won't fight.